We did a PEA in 2021. The economics were great. It's a $360 million capital build, producing about 150,000 ounces of gold equivalent a year at about all-in sustaining costs around $750 an ounce. So it's a really exciting project with an NPV at a 5% discount rate of about $1.4 billion.
Hello and welcome to the Assay TV, where today I'm joined by Jean-Paul Tsotsos, the Interim CEO of Chesapeake Gold. Chesapeake Gold is a company focused on discovery, acquisition, and development of major gold-silver deposits in North and South America. How are you today?
Good, thanks, Sarah. And how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks for asking. So just to kind of get us started, for unfamiliar viewers, can you give us a bit of background on Chesapeake and its journey to date?
Yeah, so Chesapeake's been around for a while. I guess the origin brings us back to 2007 when we acquired the Metates project. And Metates is a 19 million ounce gold deposit with another 500 million ounces of silver. So it's considered to be one of the largest precious metals deposits globally. And that's where the story really begins. But the Metates story is a longer story. There's been work on it going back to the 17th, 18th century. There's a couple little adits and a little bit of work if you go back in history. But in the 80s and the 90s, there was some predecessors of ours that did a whole bunch of work. And then we advanced it until we got to the PFX in 2016. And at that point, metal markets weren't the greatest at the time, even for a deposit of our size. And our mineralization was trapped in sulfide, which was considered refractory. And then, fast forward 2020, another company called Alderley, which was ran by Alan Pangborn, our previous CEO. He had a proprietary technology within his company that he then merged with the two companies. And that technology really allows us to unlock the gold that's trapped in those sulfides. And so that really, changed the story of Chesapeake, brought new light onto the story. We did a PEA in 2021. The economics were great. It's a $360 million capital build, producing about 150,000 ounces of gold equivalent a year at about all-in sustaining costs around $750 an ounce. So it's a really exciting project with an NPV at a 5% discount rate of about $1.4 billion. And that's only at 1,600 gold and $22 silver. So, the metal prices have moved significantly since those days, and we continue to do work on that. And then there's also our recent discovery at Lucy, which I'll talk more about today.
Yeah, I was about to say, save a little bit for us. Don't worry, we're going to get right into that with our next question. So as you mentioned, Lucy Gold, we want to kind of talk about some of those exciting metallurgical results you guys posted about. Saw something, I believe it was 97% gold recoveries. Could you go into those results for us in more depth?
Yeah, and so that's really important because our company has been working on this technology, obviously to unlock these trapped sulfides, gold trapped in sulfides. But Lucy, we observed when we did the drilling, back last year, and we had about 8 holes across this 500-meter corridor. All mineralization right from surface, some good intercepts of 6 grams over 24 meters on the far eastern side, and then the far western side we had another 4 grams for another 24 meters, and then there's holes along the whole corridor hitting good intercepts right from surface. And we saw that it was oxide gold when we were looking at the core, and we knew that the best thing to do is to take those samples and to do bottle roll tests on them to see what the recoveries we could get. And typically bottle rolls will give you a good understanding of the process that you can actually use to extract the gold, which is typical to a CIL or a CIP plant, which is a very easy and simple way. And there's many miners around the world that are using this technology to extract gold. And it's nothing new. It's considered conventional at this point. And in the test, we were able to show we got 2 samples at 97% recovery. We got another sample at about 93 and then another sample about 91% recovery. And those samples weren't taken from one specific area. Each of them were individual holes across the whole corridor that we've defined so far. So basically, we've shown that we can get an average of 95% recovery across what the known deposit is to date.
That sounds really encouraging. So you've given me a little bit of the past, little present. How about we look forward? What are the next steps for the Lucy property?
Yeah, so the next steps for the Lucy project is, we only have 8 holes in the property already. In our press release to put out a few weeks back, we announced that we're doing another 10 holes on the deposit, so another 900 meters of drilling. And the purpose of that drilling is to better understand the footprint of the deposit. So far, it's open both to the east and to the west along strike, along that corridor. As well, we only drilled about 25 meters deep into the deposit, so it's also open at depth. And the purpose of that work is to, one, extend the mineralization further to the west. And so all of our drilling to date has been drilling underneath trench work that is done before. And we do have trenches to the west. For example, we have 15 meters of about 1.78 grams gold, another trench at about 55 meters of 1.75 grams, and then a final trench of 32 meters of about 2 grams. And all of those trenches are at surface but haven't been drilled under. And so we can easily drill under them and extend the mineralization to the west. And then now heading back to the east, there's also additional trenches that we're targeting, like 50 meters of 0.63, and there's another trench of 10 meters of about 1.5 grams gold. And the purpose of going back to the west is we'll be drilling to the north and to the south along the corridor, looking to see what direction the deposit actually dips and extends underground. Because right now, all we know is it goes 25 meters below surface, and that can continue to the south or to the north. And the purpose of this whole program is to get a better understanding of the footprint, but also get an understanding of where it goes underground. On top of that work, we're doing about 250 samples, geochem samples, so taking rock or soil samples to identify where the mineralization is heading, either to the east or west along the corridor, as well as we're doing a bunch of new mapping too on the project. And the purpose of all that is, I take a really conservative approach when it comes to exploration. I'm drilling under trenches where we have mineralization. So by doing more geochem and mapping at surface, I can find new places to drill and continue to have success on the property. And that's the strategy that I've used in my past when I was working as a geologist on several companies. And I found that had the most success. And so we're continuing to do that both at Chesapeake on Lucy as well.
Sounds really encouraging. We'll look forward to hearing more about that. So I want to kind of change tracks really quick. Back in January, Chesapeake was added to the NASDAQ Metals Silver Miners Focus. What does that mean for the company?
Yeah, I'm really proud of this achievement. It's the first time the company's been added to an index. And I know a lot of people are curious, the name is Chesapeake Gold. Why are we being added to a silver index? And it comes down to, when you look at Metates, and that's our flagship property, it has 500 million ounces of silver in it. That is the #1 silver repository globally. There's a beautiful chart in our presentation which highlights all the different silver deposits, and we're in the top right corner, and we're also at the top of the list. So it was no surprise to us that we'd be added for a silver index, especially for miners and developers. And the other thing that we've seen based on being added is, our volume that we had prior to it versus now after we've been added, not including the days where they traded in, we got 3 to 4 times more volume. So we're trading a lot more shares, which is great for our investors and great for our shareholders, and a great opportunity for those that want to get in, because it also helps us to be more efficient with we put out news and we react with the market better.
Well, congratulations on that. I wanted to just quickly touch on your team and your expertise. I heard a little bit of your geology background just now, but can you tell us about the expertise that you have on the board at the moment?
Yeah, so on the board, we have a whole bunch of people with a great history. So Randy Rifle, he was the CEO before Alan. Randy Rifle was the one behind San Francisco and Al Sazal, which was a big discovery in the past that was later picked up by Glamis, and then Glamis was acquired by Gold Corp. And what's exciting about that is the team that he built for the discovery of Alcazar and San Francisco is the same team that I have that's doing the exploration at Lucy. So we have a really, well tuned up team here. They know how to do the exploration and how to execute. And many of our board members are still part of that group. We also have Alan and Alan's background, he worked at BHP. He built Spence. He also was the COO of Silver Standard. That's actually where I met him. I used to cover Silver Standard when I worked at BMO Capital Markets. He's really a smart guy. He's really technically focused. And he's also the guy that's in the background doing the technology and advancing that. He obviously is now on a director role and an advisor to me. He's no longer in the day-to-day, but he's still involved and he still considers it's his baby, especially since he's the second largest shareholder of the company. Elsewhere on the team, we have a great CFO. We have a good guy that did all of the development of our projects with regards to PFS, PFS, PEA work as well with Gary Parkinson. And he also was with Cambior, one of the previous owners of Metates, which brings a lot of history into the team. So we've got a really well-rounded team. And then my background, I was a geologist before doing my MBA and then becoming a capital markets expert, both at BMO and then later working in corporate development at Hudbay Minerals. So I bring a good set of a skill set that is advantageous for advancing Chesapeake and Metates.
Yeah, a nice wide breadth of knowledge going on the team. So really quick to summarize, we've talked a lot about Lucy, but I do also want to give you the opportunity, give you the floor, if there's anything else you'd like to touch on for other projects and as well as milestones going forward for the next year that investors can look out for.
So I touched a little bit on Metates. That's our flagship deposit. It has been working in the background. We've been continuing to do baseline environmental work on it, as well as work on the metallurgical side. And so back in September, we announced that we have found, our technology. We try a whole bunch of different variables to see if we can get to a faster way of oxidizing the material. And back in September of last year, we actually found a new methodology that was 50% faster than our best previous result. And so we're able to oxidize the material at Metates much faster. And we've been doing a lot of work in the background to continue to do additional studies. And the goal of that is I'm hoping to put out another announcement in the coming weeks where I'll explain to the market that we have continue to oxidize the material that we talked about back in September, what level of oxidation I've been able to get to, and what does that mean for recoveries? Because ultimately, refractory deposits have low recoveries, and that's why they typically go the old route of a POX or an autoclave or a roaster, which is considered to be more challenging and it's more costly, like billions of dollars. It needs more water, it needs more electricity, it also needs a tailings dam. And our process basically happens in a heap leach environment, which is much more environmentally friendly and the ability to do the same thing at a lower cost, but also use a tenth of the water, a tenth of the power, a tenth of the CO2 emissions, and there's no tailings dam. And so I'm excited to continue to share that story and get out the results of where we are with our metallurgical work and what kind of recoveries we can achieve for gold and silver.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot to look forward to for both Metates and Lucy. We'll keep our eyes open for them. And thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. And I look forward to talking to my audience again in the future with you.
Thank you.